Hi, welcome to Bult for Life. I am Garrett Bult, actor, personal trainer, former powerlifter, pro wrestler, and chronic pain thriver. Bult for Life is a podcast about living with the challenges of chronic pain. Our goal is to acknowledge, inspire, and relate to people living with chronic pain. I believe it is not only possible to survive, but to live a full life and thrive with chronic pain. No matter where you are in your journey, our mission is to give you the information and inspiration that will help you become Bult for Life. Well, today on the Bult for Life podcast, I'm really excited to have on Billy and Kim from Rebel Hot Yoga and Pilates. We met these guys at the Healthy Living Fest about 3 weeks ago, I think. And we're really excited about what they had and a little bit about their story. Welcome to the Bult for Life podcast.
Thanks, Garrett. Happy to be here. This is great.
Yeah, so great to have you guys. So could you tell us a little bit about what you guys do?
Sure. We have here in Wilmington, North Carolina, we have a hot yoga and Pilates studio, which is designed to be able to help people who live in chronic pain manage their chronic pain, stress, so they can have a better quality of life.
Oh, very cool. Now, how long have you been doing this?
So we've been open for business for about 4 years, but both Kim and I have been practicing yoga and Pilates for over 10.
Oh, wow. So what got you into yoga and Pilates?
Yeah, for me, I had about 12 years ago, I had a back surgery because for a lot of years I lived in chronic pain. And at the time, I didn't really know any better. I didn't know what my options were. So to get out of pain, I went to the doctor and they did an MRI and they said, you should have surgery. So I said, okay. And we went to it. And it was a failed back surgery. So it came out with more pain than I went into it. And I was going through physical therapy and the physical therapist said, hey, maybe you should try yoga. And I, kind of giggled because I didn't really understand what it was all about. Like most people, they don't know what their options are to manage chronic pain and live a good quality of life. But one day I showed up and that was it.
Wow, you were hooked, huh?
That was it. Yeah.
How about you, Kim? How did you get involved with yoga and Pilates?
Well, I've been in fitness my whole life, and I was practicing Bikram yoga a long time ago, and then I ended up in a minor car accident and it broke my back. And so I continued doing Bikram yoga, and that helped to keep stabilization and strengthen my spine. And then it just got to be the point where it was too much for me. I'm a chronic overdoer, and so I have a tendency to push really hard, and I pushed too hard and didn't know how to take care of myself. And so I dabbled in other styles of yoga. And then I ended up having spine surgery 9 years ago, and I'm almost pain-free, but it's because of what I do at Rebel Hot Yoga, the direction that I've learned to take. I've learned how to take care of myself, and so and not push beyond my limits, so to speak. So in Pilates, I'm a mat Pilates teacher as well, and so just the combination of those things helps to keep my spine strong and so that I can go enjoy life.
Oh, that's so awesome. And you touched on so many things there I can relate to. A lot of people that I meet that are in chronic pain, we're chronic overdoers, and then life changes so much when, okay, now all of a sudden, wow, I can barely dress myself, So what an amazing story. And I love the fact that you guys are combining Pilates with yoga, but let me backtrack a little bit. So for people that don't know, what's the big difference between hot yoga and regular yoga?
Well, the main difference obviously is the heat. So being in a heated room can be very therapeutic as far as blood flowing throughout your body, taking some of the trauma out of stretching. You can imagine if you were to stretch on a cold day as opposed to in a nice heated room. But it's mostly vasodilation, getting the blood flowing through your system. Your blood is carrying nutrients and oxygen throughout your body. So if you have chronic pain anywhere, it's a great way to safely strengthen and heal whatever you got going on.
Oh, that's awesome. I can only imagine. I imagine autoimmune disorders, all sorts of things, I would think.
Right. I look back on it and I'm very grateful that I had back surgery because for my whole entire life, I've struggled with Crohn's disease. So For the first 30 years of my life, I couldn't eat most fruits and vegetables and nuts and gluten. I was in and out of the hospital, and I had a major intestinal surgery. So having discovered yoga and Pilates through back surgery over the course of time, I was able to really manage that as well. So I'm 44 years old now, and for the last 6 years, I've been completely diet independent, which means, I'm talking about quality of life, which means that I can eat apples and cashews and spinach and things like that. So a lot of us think about chronic pain as you have a back or a knee, but it's also high blood pressure, digestive issues, or stress and anxiety, or even low self-esteem can really inhibit someone from living a full life and, as you say, thriving.
Yeah. Oh, and just so people can't necessarily see us right now, but you guys look amazing, by the way. I wouldn't have guessed you were 44. So
well, it's a nice side
Thank
effect
you.
of doing it. It's, we say all the time, like, it's it's not enough to, it doesn't matter to look good. You want to feel good from in your body and your mind, and be able to really do the things you love.
That was one of the things I loved when we met. You talked about being able to live and function, not just looking good or not just feeling good, but be able to actually do things.
Yeah. I don't care if you can touch your toes. I care you can squat down and play with your grandkids, or surf, or whatever it is, the thing, or even have the confidence to go try skydiving.
Yeah, I love that. And too, everybody's so individual. A touch your toe test for this person might be a good evaluation of how your hamstrings are or how flexible they are. For another person, it may not. So I love that. I love that way of assessing people and their goals.
Yeah, and there's a big difference between fit, as you know, and being healthy.
Mm-hmm. Totally. So I'm really intrigued. I personally have never tried hot yoga, so I really, I'm challenging myself now to come by and give it a try with you guys one of these days. When people first start with you guys, do you suggest regular yoga first, or traditional yoga and then hot yoga, or how do you do that? How does it work?
Well, what we teach is beginner friendly. So we don't have different levels. All yoga is good. All hot yoga is great. Pilates is great. There's a variety of modalities. Not everything works for anyone. So I always suggest to people, try a bunch of things, see what resonates with you so you can get the benefit that you need. For us, the heat is the key. It really, makes all of the benefits from your efforts 10x. Because there is a mental challenge to it as well.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
My wife has done it, and she's told me stories about it. And she did it up in the tri-state area where we used to live, and she was really impressed with it and did it on a semi-regular basis. But she mentioned the mental aspect of it and the challenge of it.
Yep, exactly.
I love the fact that you guys incorporated the Pilates, and as a personal trainer, a lot of my clients that I would do mostly resistance type training with people, and some of them would incorporate yoga or even hot yoga with it, which I thought was such a great thing. How do you guys incorporate the Pilates with the yoga as far as you do at your studio?
Well, we offer a high-intensity, beginner-friendly interval training workout called Inferno Hot Pilates. So what that is designed to do is to give you a full body workout that strengthens and focuses on your core. It is a full body workout, so we're doing bridges, we're doing planks and squats and things to also, strengthen your glutes and your legs, and some standing cardio. But it's all low impact, so it's really for everyone. And it's a great complement to yoga because I know a lot of the people that are doing both together, we see so much more stability in our core that helps us in our yoga postures as well.
What would you suggest, for example, in someone in my case where in the past when I've done yoga, I've had to do personalized lessons, or do you offer variations or different things? For example, I've had, a little bit about my story. I've had 7 back surgeries, 3 fusions, all in my lumbar. I have a spinal cord stimulator implanted, a lot of different things that I have to be careful about. What would you do with somebody like me, which will be coming in sooner or later to see you guys?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I would tell you is you would fit right in.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I feel like we should.
I know. It's like
we should drop the mics and go right now. Yeah, I mean, most of our clients that come have hip replacements, knee replacements. Some are, some of the most elite athletes come and participate in the class. But what we do is designed as therapy. So the biggest hurdle for most people is getting over that mental aspect. Oh, I can't do it because I'm not flexible, or I can't do it because or I can't take the heat, or all of the reasons that we all have not to try something different. And this is one of the reasons why I call the studio Rebel Hot Yoga, because a lot of people are willing to either just live with chronic pain or pop a pill or stumble around Whole Foods complaining to everyone. It's that people are willing to show up, put in the work, and try to take your power back. Because life is short, and like you say so eloquently, you want to thrive and live a really great life.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. Getting choked up here. So what are a few things that someone should look for if they're looking for hot yoga studio or even Pilates?
Yep. For us, one of the greatest things you would want to look for is the sense of community, so that when you show up, you feel like you're surrounded by like-minded people who have the same intention, where there's no judgment, there's no levels. And that's what we do at our studio. I wouldn't say, okay, you, Garrett, are going to go to this class because you're broken down, and you're an athlete, so you're going to go to this class. We all do it together. So having a sense of community, and also something that you really want to show up for. Some people, drag their butt to the gym 3 times a week reluctantly to spin their wheels on an elliptical machine. And you want a place that you're going to bound out of bed looking forward to go to this place because you're getting results, you're feeling better, and you want to continue with it.
I love that too. The sense of community, that's the thing that since my dad took me to join my first gym when I was 15, that's the thing that's kept me coming back for all these years, is that my friends are at the gym, and my wife works out, and it's a family. We go, my son, my wife, and my wife, my son, and myself all go at the same time, and he goes and plays with his kids in the kid care. We go play with our friends in the gym. And I think that's so important. I think so many people miss that.
Yeah. It can be, unfortunately, very isolating sometimes to live with chronic pain or low self-esteem or stress. You can end up kind of on an island by yourself. But when you're surrounded by like-minded people and you have that support, sometimes that's the extra push to keep you going when it's tough. Because it's not easy living in chronic pain, and we've all been there, whether it's an acute injury that's just going to be 6 weeks or something where you're going to have to manage this for a long time. It's doable. And being surrounded by a community, that's the key.
Oh, that's awesome. And what should we look for Pilates?
For Pilates, it's the same thing. Billy tapped into this word support. I mean, finding a studio that supports you in your health and wellness journey is key. Personally, I have been to lots of studios post-back surgery that I don't look like anything's wrong with my back.
Right, which a lot of people.
And then you go in there and instructors will push and push and push. And so finding a place where you feel supported, where you feel supported enough to take care of yourself, and you learn how to take care of yourself, no matter what you're doing, yoga, Pilates, anything, that falls under the umbrella of finding that place where you have a good sense of community, and it's all about support. If they're willing to support you on your journey, meet you where you're at, then you found the right place.
Oh, that's awesome. And you touched on that. So many people with chronic pain you can't see what's wrong, and it may very well have a huge impact on their life, but you can't see it. And that's such a good point. I'm so glad you mentioned that, because I think that's so important for instructors and people like yourself that are willing to listen to people and listen to their concerns and be able to work with them on it.
I think it's also important when you're seeking out some sort of a teacher or a place to practice these things to recognize why you're there. Because I tell my yoga and Pilates students all of the time, you didn't come here to become an expert at yoga. You didn't come here to become a master of Pilates. Never forget why you showed up. It's to feel better in your body, right? Nobody cares if you can do a yoga posture like the cover of the magazine. That doesn't matter, right? Again, your shoulders feel amazing so you can pick up your kids, and your knees feel great so you can run around the backyard or get back to running if you can't run anymore because of your knee, right? So don't be tricked into thinking you have to become an expert at that modality.
Oh, that's such a great way of assessing your progress. I love that. And it's so personal. And I think one of the problems I've seen with commercial gyms or commercial, more, whatever you want to call it, mainstream forms of fitness, is it's like it's a competition, and that's okay for some people. That might be great, but I love what you said about figuring out why you're there. What are your goals? Because when it comes down to it, I mean, we're the ones that have to live in these bodies.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, so cool, man. I'm so glad to meet you guys and such like-minded people. What are some of the other chronic conditions that you guys have seen with the Bult for Life podcast? Obviously, chronic pain is a big thing. We also are reaching out to people with chronic kidney disease. You mentioned mental illness, which I think is or mental challenges. So what are some of the other things you guys have seen that you've been able to help people with?
Yeah, I mean, the physical things like arthritis, high blood pressure, but to unpack that a little bit more, the stress of living life is a big deal. And a lot of times, stress in your mind can manifest in your body. We all know that if, someone beautiful walks by, you might get butterflies. That visual thing has a physical response. Same thing with stress. You can have tension in your neck and shoulders or high blood pressure simply from a result of having loose screws in your brain, not having a way to deal with the everyday stress that is life. So that's the first part, is changing your mind and realizing that you are not your back pain, you are not your knee pain. This doesn't define you. This is not what it's all about. This is part of who you are, and you can most definitely manage it if you're willing to show up, put in the work, and be consistent with it.
Oh, that's awesome. I so agree. And that's been one of my big challenges with chronic pain is like, I used to so judge myself and see myself by my accomplishments and what did I accomplish and what did I lift in this competition and what did I do in this job and how, what person did I train here. And I love that you said you were grateful about your back injury because it changed so much in your life. And I have to agree with that. It's the same thing for me. And one of the biggest things was my identity. I realized I was more than my job. I was more than how much I lifted. And that's an incredible thing to learn and to help people discover. What would you say to someone that is sitting on the couch and their first step of dealing with chronic pain or even making any effort is to listen to this podcast? They've been sitting on the couch for 6 months. They barely go to their doctor's appointments. They've decided this is the first thing I'm going to do to start improving my life. And they're hearing this. What would you tell them?
Our intuition is a beautiful thing in our minds and our bodies. And sometimes we need to really listen to our intuition. When it comes to pain in your body, oftentimes that's incorrect. Because people will think, oh, my back hurts, I need to rest. I need to lie on the couch and not do anything. And that's an illusion. What you really need to do is move and really, in a really conscientious way, strengthen and stretch whatever place it is you need. So the first part is the hardest part, which is showing up. You have to show up to some place and do something and see what it's all about. And if it's not for you, go to the next place. And if it's not for you, find something that resonates. But the first part is actually making the decision to show up. Because it's not something you would do for a month and, you feel better and you can go on to the next thing. You have to find something that's willing to be a lifestyle change. Because this is your life, right? You want it in a style that suits you.
Oh, that's great advice. I
Well
love
said.
that. What would you say, Kim?
That was well said.
Yeah, I thought so.
It takes, you have to be willing to change. And with that, you have to get outside of your comfort zone. And that might just be getting up off the couch. That might be outside of your comfort zone. But like Billy said, all you have to do is show up. If you show up, we'll take care of the rest. You go step by step, one day at a time.
Oh, that's awesome.
And ultimately, you're showing up for yourself. I mean, that's the reason why we're doing it. And we've all heard it when you're on an airplane. You put your oxygen mask on first so you can take care of everybody else. Our clients are predominantly teachers, nurses, moms, people who take care of everybody else. So you come in to have your time, to be able to take care of your physical and mental self so that everything else is better.
Is there anything else that you guys had thought that you would really want people to know about hot yoga and Pilates?
My greatest thing would be don't be intimidated by it. The heat is a tool to be able to expedite the results you're going to get.
So what does it feel like when you see somebody come in and they start doing the deal and they really start having some success?
This is what we live for. When people arrive after their first class or their first week and they start to see improvements, that's huge for us because it's all about having results in your body, because we know, we get so excited to teach the classes that we teach because we know what's on the other side of it. If you can take a 1-hour Pilates class or a 90-minute hot yoga, whatever it is, we know you're going to feel amazing, and then that spreads. You're going to be more, happy at work and in your family and in your relationships, and everything else gets better. I tell people if you come and take a 90-minute hot yoga class, you're going to have 22 and a half hours for the rest of the day. You're going to feel amazing and own it and thrive, like you say.
Oh, that's awesome. I love that.
And what I notice, especially in our hot Pilates classes, we have people of all different ages. So we've got, your college students, we have people in their 60s, people fresh out of knee replacements, working through injuries. And what I love to see is when somebody pushes through and pushes beyond where they thought they could go, and then they stand up and they clap for themselves. And they're clapping for themselves, but they're also clapping for everybody else in the room. And at the end of each class, in the beginning of each class, we clap for everybody because 1, you showed up, 2, you did the work, and then 3, you got to see yourself in the mirror and know that you were successful right then. And you built that resilience because you pushed through and you got back up. That's amazing to see.
At our studio, we call that empowerment because you're in charge of whatever happens. You're a result of all the decisions you've ever made in your life, right? We like to say, if it's to be, it's up to me.
Very nice. That's awesome. I love that. And that was one of the great joys. I had personal training when I was able to work with clients more one-on-one. And it's amazing to see people change their lives, and to be able to be a part of that and share what you guys have done. And it's amazing to see you guys have literally changed your lives. And now you're able to use that to help other people change theirs. So Kim, you mentioned that you had a previous back surgery. Can you tell us a little bit more about what happened and what that was like for you? What led you up to that surgery?
Yeah, absolutely. In 2007, I had just come back from an amazing trip to Hawaii, and I was at a yoga seminar. And I was on my way to yoga class when I came home and got in a car accident. And it was a minor car accident, but it broke my back. I had a bilateral pars fracture and L3 in my lower back. And so I went to yoga. And I kept doing yoga for about 3 years in excruciating pain. But as I said before, I'm a chronic overdoer and pusher, and I kept pushing myself. And I just didn't know how to take care of myself. And so I ended up, for those 3 years, I was on pain meds and still did yoga in pain. And I didn't realize how strong that it helped. How much it helped me keep strength in my spine. But I couldn't tie my shoes. I couldn't make my bed. I couldn't pull the laundry out of the washer and into the dryer without grimacing and in excruciating pain. Doing the dishes, couldn't do that. It just got progressively worse and worse and worse. And so I ended up stopping the yoga because it was just, all of it was too much. Went into some depression, gained a lot of weight, and just started to give up because the option was surgery, and I didn't want to have my spine cut on. I mean, who wants to have that done? That was in Florida, and I moved to Colorado because I thought somebody there would help me find what I needed. And so I tried acupuncture. I tried many different types of chiropractic care. I tried all the woo-woo stuff, positive thought psychology. I tried everything that I could to avoid surgery, and it didn't work. And so I found an amazing neurospine surgeon and went that route. And I'm glad that I did. It worked for me. And everybody put the fear in me that, oh my gosh, you're going to end up having another surgery after that. And that's not been the case for me because of the route that I took. But along the way, I would have to say it's been the hardest journey that I've ever been through. I'm typically a very happy person, and I love and enjoy life very much. And this knocked me flat on my back, literally. And I think it was a way of saying you need to slow down and you need to learn how to take care of yourself. And if you're not going to do it, then here's what's going to happen. So, like I said, depression, anxiety, weight gain. I became not so friendly anymore, antisocial. Lost a lot of my self-confidence and low self-esteem because I could no longer do what I used to do, and I lost my identity. I didn't know who I was anymore. So I tried to do little things step by step, tried to manage the pain without meds, but that was difficult. And I got back into yoga slowly and still am in the process of learning how to take care of myself even still today. But I'm there and I'm making it, and I'm much better, and I am grateful for that experience, but it's been a long and tough journey. But I wasn't going to I couldn't sit on the couch. That wasn't me. I knew that wasn't me. And so I had to fight for it. And it's a fight, and it's a good fight though. It's worth it.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. I can so relate, and I think it's hard to explain chronic pain to someone that's never gone through it, except maybe the people that live with us, our loved ones that see us go through it. But Billy, how about you? I know you had a back surgery as well, and what led up to that, and what happened?
Well, I'm on my third career. My first career was as a musician, so I spent a lot of time bouncing around on stage and hauling gear, heavy amplifiers and whatnot. Then I was a garden designer for a number of years, so I was working outside planting trees, and just progressively my back just kept getting worse and worse and worse. What triggered me to go have a surgery, one, I didn't know any other options. Two, and Kim touched on this, I started turning into a jerk, because mentally it's very challenging if you don't have the right tools to, keep your brain stable. But the real trigger for me to seek help was I couldn't do the things I wanted to do anymore. I remember one day thinking my back hurt so bad I couldn't ride my motorcycle anymore. And that was a problem. A lot of people can live in pain. It's okay if your knee hurts. You can live with your knee hurting. But if you can't walk on the beach anymore, that it was really affecting my quality of life. And like Kim said, it's a lot of depression that can be associated with that. It can be very isolating at times. You don't want to just be a complainer and talk all the time about how this hurts, this hurts, this hurts. But once you can find something to try to take your power back, it's very empowering. So, and along with that comes a lot of confidence and self-esteem, because you're in charge of it. You don't have to just go along with the flow. You can kind of control your own outcome, right?
Yeah. Thank you for sharing your story with us. Was there a moment where you were like, I don't want to live this way anymore? Or what started you on this journey?
I remember I was driving in my truck, and I was sitting at a stoplight, and I could barely drive. I could barely sit, because when you have sciatic pain, sitting is the worst. And I looked over my shoulder, and there was a little sign for hot yoga. And I said, this is it. It's now or never. I'm either going to sink or swim, and it's up to me. So I went in. And then a special deal, 2 weeks for $20. I gave him my $20, and he said, just show up again tomorrow. And that was the hardest thing, is just showing up. And the second hardest thing was showing up again and again and again. Because it's not the easy way. It's very powerful to be able to, become empowered and put in the work, but it's easy to take a pill and just suppress the pain. It is the hard way, but we're worth it, and life is worth it, and life is short, and this is what we do, showing up.
That's awesome. So you literally saw a sign that led you to yoga, a sign from the universe or wherever that you should do hot yoga.
I did. Well, I had a worldview about yoga where I pictured a bunch of people sitting around chanting with candles and incense and spirituality and all of this stuff, and I didn't understand how that could possibly help fix my back. And fortunately, the style of yoga, which I tried, which is the style of yoga we teach now, is not that. It's very feet on the ground, so you can feel really good in your physical self and your mental self to have a better quality of life. We don't bring any dogma into it. It's very accessible and understandable and beginner-friendly.
Thank you for explaining that. That's really cool. How about you, Kim? Did you have a moment where it was just like, this is enough?
Yeah, I did. I was driving in my car, and it's really scary to drive in your vehicle after a spine surgery.
Yes.
And I was driving, and just to go backwards a little bit, I was a triathlete in Colorado, and I had to learn how to walk again. And I saw this man running. And I said, I'm going to do that again one day, because I had just learned how to walk. And I knew what would get me there, and it was my Bikram yoga practice. And so I was afraid to go into my yoga practice, even though I had done it for years. And I went, and that was a big deal, just to walk through the doors. And then I went a few times, and then I was like, I'm not going to go again because I wasn't at the place I was before. And that was the mental practice that I had to get into. But it was that moment of seeing that man and knowing that I was going to be back there someday. And to this day, I don't run because it's not worth it to me anymore. I found something that's more sustainable, and that's my yoga practice. And that's my therapy. But that was the moment.
Thank you for sharing that. I guess we never know where the signs are going to come from or what it's going to be, but I guess as long as we take it and we decipher it and figure out what it means to us, And I can so relate to riding in the car. I was in my first fusion, I was in a back brace for 3 months, and they didn't even want me riding in a car for 6 weeks. And it took me months and months and months to get back to being even comfortable at the idea of riding in the car.
Yeah.
And then I had a beautiful 2002 Jeep Wrangler that I loved, but it was a stick shift, and I had to get rid of it because my leg wasn't strong enough to push in the clutch. So
I just got back this weekend. I took a road trip for 4 days, and I was thinking along the way how grateful I am simply to take a road trip, to get in the car, go somewhere fun, not have to think about it, not be so encompassed by pain and anxiety and stress. You can actually enjoy it. Just jump in the Jeep, drive for 4 hours, live life, drive back, and it was a pleasure. That is life.
That's one thing my chronic pain has taught me is gratitude. The things that I so took for granted, I really, really appreciate now.
Oh, yeah.
It's changed everything.
Yeah, probably 6 years ago, none of us could have been sitting in these chairs.
That's so true.
Happily having this conversation.
Yeah,
Right.
That's so true.
And now we're not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
We're just trying to spread the word and help other people wherever you are to make it work.
Guys, for those people listening that are maybe spouses or maybe stumbled across the podcast and are on the fringe of chronic pain, or maybe they have a serious injury that's holding them back, or want to prevent injuries, or want to maintain that are doing well, and what would you suggest to them?
I think you touched on it, prevention and maintenance. We look at it as yoga and Pilates are medicine, and we were all born to feel good in our bodies. So preventative medicine is most definitely a thing. You don't have to wait until you get to the point like we did where you just can't operate anymore and it's your last chance. You can live a much better quality of life than you probably think you are, even right now, just by putting in the work. So you can run faster and sleep better and be happier and eat better food and digest and all of these things and improve your quality of life, even if you're pretty good as it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I always say, the one side effect of being active is that things wear out, and the more we can do to balance things out and balance the imbalances in our body, the healthier and better we are.
Yeah.
What would you say, Kim?
I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, I'll go to yoga once I get a little more flexible. Well, that's why we practice yoga, right? Is to get flexible. It's not to become, on the cover of Yoga Journal magazine. That's not why we're doing it. We're there because it's therapy. It's there to keep us going and to improve improve your quality of life or your game, whatever it is that you do outside of the yoga studio.
We tell our clients all of the time, our students, if you're the perfect person and you wake up every morning and you jump on a rainbow unicorn and ride a candy rainbow to work and everything's amazing, you don't need us. But who is that? We all have something, right, that we can improve on and make better.
Absolutely. Well put. With that, too, how could somebody get in touch with you guys? Like if they listen to this podcast and they love what they're hearing, let's say they're living out on the West Coast and they want to find somebody that's like-minded, how would they go about that?
Yep, so you can contact us directly through our website, rebelhotyoga.com. And we have people contact us all the time through email or a phone conversation trying to be steered in the right direction. Because there's so many beautiful places to go, so many different options. And that could be one of the hurdles, too, is there's 25 different places to go. And where do we go? What do we do? What's the right direction to be able to take? So we're always open to being able to recommend, different things to try. So anyone interested in starting wherever you are in the country, if you're interested in starting a yoga practice or a Pilates practice, you can absolutely reach out to me directly. via email or social media. My email is billy@rebelhotyoga.com. We're on Instagram and Facebook, all over. So if you're in Kansas or Colorado, or wherever you are, you can reach out and we can try to help dial you in and direct you to a place that will help you.
Well, again, thank you so much for being on the Bult for Life podcast today. It's really a pleasure to get to know you guys a little bit better. Your stories are amazing. You guys look amazing. I feel so privileged to meet you and have you on the show today.
Thank you. It was
Thank you.
great being here.
Thank you so much. Oh, such a great talk with Billy and Kim from Rebel Hot Yoga. I really related to their stories and their own personal experiences that they bring to helping people with chronic pain. I hope you guys enjoyed that as much as I did. I love that they shared their personal experience, and these guys practice what they preach, and that's really what the Bult for Life podcast is all about. Billy and Kim really had some great tools and tips that they use to help their clients not only survive chronic pain, but to live a full life and thrive with chronic pain. Billy and Kim, you guys are Bult for Life. On the next episode of the Bult for Life podcast, we talk with Dr. Gabe Frank. It was so great talking with him, and he shared some of his experience with chronic pain and then what he does with his patients and how he's able to use so many different things. We talked about fitness, we talked about nutrition, we talked about overall well-being as well as choosing your healthcare providers. And again, he's another fellow Chicago guy, so I'm a little partial to him, but he's a great guy. He gave us a lot of great information. I can't wait for you to hear it.